Today I am taking an ancient, slow and pretty derelict train across Tunisia. The journey will take us from the capital of Tunis to the city of Sousse on the Mediterranean. Now, many locals told me that taking the train in Tunisia is a pretty bad idea, but as always, I wanted to see for myself what Tunisian trains are like. So are they really that bad? Well, let's head to the station and find out. The journey begins at Gare de Tunis, the main train station in the Tunisian capital. Also called Central Station or Barcelona Station, the first building that stood here dates from the French Protectorate in the early 20th century. It is centrally located in the city of Tunis, and there are a few convenience stores, a coffee shop and staffed ticket offices. At those, you can buy tickets for suburban lines or main lines called Grande Ligne. Apparently, you can also buy tickets on the website, but it didn't work when I tried. Besides, you can only purchase your tickets up to 3 days before departure, so you basically have to come here. I had gotten my ticket the day before traveling and it was pretty straightforward, but the offices are cash only. So yeah, Tunisia is very old school in many ways. My train is 573, but that number turned out to be pretty irrelevant because it wasn't indicated anywhere. Anyhow, the train departs at 1:05 p.m. and should arrive in Sousse around 2.5 hours later. But as I'll find out soon enough, timetables aren't exactly set in stone in Tunisia. And here is my train. I wasn't able to find out what model this is, but it is clearly very old and very rundown. I had actually purchased a first-class ticket, but as I found out rather quickly, classes do not matter on Tunisian trains. Everybody just sits wherever they please. Essentially, first come, first served. Besides, throughout my entire journey, nobody ever checked my ticket, so don't bother looking for your assigned seat. The train was ram-packed full, and I just hiked through the carriages until eventually I found an empty seat. On the plus side, we departed just 10 minutes late at 1:15 p.m. Some local friends told me that the delays on Tunisian railways are insane, but on this journey we were off to a good start. So what is the journey like? Well, the seats look like they have seen much better days, but they are actually very comfortable. The train does have AC, but it worked for exactly 5 minutes and then it died. But Tunisian trains do have an ace up their sleeve, and that is open doors. The doors were open throughout the entire journey, and this rather risky situation serves two purposes. Number one, people smoke between the carriages. And secondly, the open doors do provide a bit of ventilation. So yeah, I didn't feel all that safe standing here, but I did get some cool shots. Most of Tunisia's rail infrastructure was built during the French colonial period, and it has seen relatively little investment since. And that is where the network stands, unfortunately. Decades-old infrastructure which would need major renovations in order to somewhat resemble a modern rail system. But it is very unlikely that this will happen, and the current trajectory is that fewer and fewer trains are running in Tunisia. So yeah, the future for Tunisian trains looks bleak, but who knows? There is no restaurant car, but you can buy food or drinks from the onboard vendors, which is what I did. And by the way, they do make some excellent lemonade in the country of Tunisia. The landscapes on this journey are nothing special, but you do pass through some interesting looking towns. And unfortunately, I have to mention the pollution. It is a massive issue in Tunisia, and if you take the train, it becomes shockingly obvious. I also wanted to check out the lavatories, but they were all out of order, at least the 4 carriages next to me. Now we were getting close to Sousse, but there was an unexpected twist. Around 3 hours into the journey, we stopped in a random suburb and the conductor told me to get off. I was probably the only foreigner on the train, and I had told him before that I was going to Sousse, so he knew where I was heading and informed me that I should get off. So off I went. So the train doesn't actually go all the way to Sousse, it just left me on the outskirts in some small village station. Guy told me that there are many louages here, so shared taxis, which cost 1 dinar. So yeah, I'll have to catch one of those to get to the center of Sousse, but shouldn't be a major problem. I ended up getting a taxi, which was 9 dinar. Much more than the louage shared taxi, but I couldn't be bothered to wait. And yeah, I paid just 10.9 dinar, which is incredibly cheap for a 3-hour train ride. It was a fun experience and we were only, emphasis on only, half an hour late. But I can't imagine that this is the safest way to travel. Also, it wasn't very fast or efficient, but it was an adventure. Not sure if I would do it again though. Thanks for watching.